As the title suggests, this is the return of the king. The Radio King, that is. No, I'm not talking about Michael Jackson or Sauron. I'm talking about Lord of the Rings. No, I'm not really. I was contacted by DW and said, hey, you want to try out some Slingerland drums? I'm like, sure. I don't know anything about vintage drums. There are people out there who play them, like my friend Marcus has got Gretsch, Ludwig. He's had Slingerland, he's had Radio, he's had them all, still got most of them. But with the whole vintage drum thing, I've never really gravitated to it because I'll be honest with you, I don't understand it. That doesn't mean I don't like the sound of it, I just don't get it. Because all the drums I've seen that are vintage are pretty beaten up and need spare parts and held together with gaffer tape with multiple holes drilled in the bass drum and whatnot. So when they reached out and said, hey, do you want to try some Slingerland drums, the new Radio Kings? And I was like, ooh, that'd be cool. I'll give it a crack. And even though they said, do what you want, change heads, do any configuration, I left this kit as is, which basically means it's got coated ambassadors on top, clear ambassadors on the resonant head, and also a full Rezo bass drum head with a coated ambassador. So it's all very stock out of the box. And I can tell you now, I tuned it up real quick and it sounds amazing. And that bass drum is just glorious, has so much bottom end. It was actually shaking the walls in this room. This is a Radio King outfit, well, 13 by 9, 16 by 16, and a 22 by 14. And I want one because this bass drum sounds great. And I naturally play off the head, so you've got that overtone, that bottom end. And all that's in that bass drum is just a couple of light pillows. I didn't want to go for wide open, full hollowness. I left it as it came out of the box. And also there is a snare drum on here, which is the Radio King 14 by 7 limited edition, black and gold, steam bent shell. And well, that'll be a full video. But all I did was tune that up and just ran with it. So less talking, more playing, let's get into it.
Slingerland was founded in 1912, originally as a banjo company. In the mid-1930s, the company introduced Radio King drums. The original Radio King snares were built with a single piece of steam-bent maple, reinforced with solid maple rings, giving them a warm, resonant tone that stood out compared to many drums of the same era. From the late 1930s through the 1940s and even into the 50s, Radio King became one of Slingerland's flagship lines, used widely in jazz, swing, and early popular music. Legendary drummers endorsed and played Radio King kits, helping cement their reputation. By 1957, however, Radio King drums were removed from Slingerland's catalogues, though they made a brief return between 1960 and 1962. Over subsequent decades, Slingerland's prominence waned. The company changed ownership a few times, and by the 1990s and 2000s, production had largely ceased. In November 2019, DW Drums acquired Slingerland with the intention of reviving the brand. In 2025, Slingerland officially relaunched, unveiling new Radio King and a companion line called the Studio King. The new Radio King kit, handcrafted in Oxnard, California, using shell construction and design details inspired by the originals. The revival is positioned not just as nostalgia, but as a modern, reliable drumline that respects vintage tone and craftsmanship while offering durability and consistency for today's drummers.
Now, the shell configuration. Handcrafted in Oxnard, California, this kit features 3-ply shells with a poplar mahogany formula built with a steam-bent maple re-ring and a 30-degree rounded bearing edge. And they're so buttery, those edges. They're just smooth, and I want to touch them all the time. The drums play with a buttery feel, punchy attack, warm tonality, and lush resonance. And I'm not kidding you, the resonance is warm. Not super thuddy, not super dead, it's just warm. And it's intoxicating to play. They feel great, they sound great. All the hardware is nickel-plated hardware, isolation tom mount. So what that is, it's actually only mounted by 2 bolts. That's it. The other 2 sides, which is like the original Radio King tom mount, it just has 2 rubber little isolation mounts. Stick saver hoops and a classic Radio King badge on each drum. As I said, I love these drums. They're still here and I don't want to give them back. But if I was going to buy this, or have one in my collection, I would probably go for something a bit more my sizing, which would be 10, 12, 14, 16, and a 22 by 16. I wouldn't go the 18, let's go just a nice 16. But then again, that 14, 22 by 14 is glorious. And that bottom end is like Freddie Mercury would be jealous of it, to be honest. It's got a lot of thickness to it. Take that on board if you want. And the finish is a black diamond pearl wrap. I love it. I wouldn't get any lacquer, or I'd get the wrap. I love the look. It looks glorious. It looks just how it did when it came out of the factory in the 1930s, and of course the big jazz era of the 40s, 50s and 60s. I am actually completely smitten with this drum kit. So the first mix, I've left everything wide open. I've just changed the balances. No EQ, no compression, no, I don't know, pizza. There's nothing. It's just completely wide open. You'll hear all the overtones. And then the second run through is my very, very average version of a mix. So I do apologize, but it's the best I can do. I'm in a room with no doors and no treatment. So enjoy.
And not to forget, you also get a swag kit featuring a drum key, spare parts, a cloth, and other accessories. And of course, the glorious thank you card.
How great are these drums? I know I say all the time, the drums are great. I don't have to be honest with these. I am not an artist. I have just borrowed these from DW. And I would tell you honestly my impression. And they're amazing drums. And of course, they're actually here in Australia. They're not overly expensive. This outfit with no snare drum, no hardware, just the shells, retails for $6,499. But of course, they're limited in Australia, which means the dealership is not as big as, say, DW. Soon, they're going to have all the available hardware for older drums. The new hardware fits the old style drums. So if you've got broken lugs, snare strainers, and all that lovely stuff, and hoops and whatnot, or you're missing things, spare parts will be available very, very soon, I've been told. So, thank you for watching. I hope you've been entertained, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.